Wow, look at that. Push the button twice, it shut off, and now it's started again. All right, this is November 27th. I started around 11:30 p.m. Right now it's 11:45. So I did one of these little segments. I'm in Psalm 104. I just completed about 20 minutes of running my mouth, right? And I only made it down to verse 9. And I've been talking for 20 minutes. It takes a long time to do this. And if you're fortunate, like myself, I'm 71 years old. If you're fortunate and you're able to sit at a little table like this, 71 years after you were born, and still being able to see, got a couple of teeth left, body works pretty good. Sometimes, if you're fortunate enough, you'll be blessed by God. All you got to do is try to understand that He's helping you to walk the path that He set down for all of us men and women. God created man. Male and female created He them. You hear all this wishy-washy stuff, or the woman and stuff like that. It's not right to call everybody man. It's not us doing that. It's God who did that. When He talks about man or mankind, He's talking about the male and the female. You understand? But who wants to make an argument over that? The Democrats, of course. The evil ones. Let's go to verse 10. Psalm 104. 20 years after I made this little mark on here, I'm right back in the same spot, talking to myself. And I know there's going to be somebody else listening on the other side. He sendeth the springs into the valleys, which run among the hills. He's talking about what happened after the flood. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches. He watereth the hills from His chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. This is from the water. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man. Of man. Weren't we just talking about that? Did He say man and woman? Or male and female? Or any of that other fancy stuff that man, guided by the evil one, how he tries to describe it, with all them fancy letters there. Like a young man going into a woman's bathroom saying, "Hey, I'm a girl." That's a deception of the devil. Don't do that. Don't do it. All right, verse 14. I'm going to read that. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. Remember when Adam and Eve sinned? And now he's tilling the ground. He says, man, you came from dust, and man, you're going to be working in the dust. And man has been doing that ever since. But it wasn't pleasure anymore. It was work. In the beginning, he was just tending the garden. Now, he had to work to survive. And wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. He's talking about sustaining man. Does he say man and woman? Or Ms. or Mrs.? No, he doesn't. But he's referring to male and female. That's how he created man. He created them male and female. But he called them man. The trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon, which he hath planted, where the birds make their nests. As for the stork, the fir trees are her house. You ever see a fir tree? Where do you live? You live in a desert? The storks like to make their nests in those. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. He's talking about earth. He's explaining all the stuff that you can see out there. God explains the earth. Don't try to listen to man. You notice I'm not trying to explain to you all the stuff that's out there in the earth. I'm merely repeating what God has already told me, and he's revealed it to me. A number of times over the years since 1975, I have read this particular book of Psalms, Psalm 104. Today, 20 years later, from this particular date, which is 98, and I started reading it, 20 some years before then, here I am sitting there trying to explain it to somebody else. Actually, I'm not explaining it to you or trying to. I'm just helping you to put it in your brain so God can explain it to you. It's easy. All you got to do is obey him. And then, when I first sat down here tonight, after a couple of months of not doing it, I was a little apprehensive. Is that the correct word? I don't know. But after I started, it's like he filled me up with the proper oil, lubricated the nuts and bolts up in my head and got me talking here. It's easy to do what God asks you to do, because he's not going to ask you to do anything without helping you to do it. Does that make sense to you? He appointed the moon for seasons. What are the seasons? How many are there? The sun knoweth his going down. He's trying to explain the stuff that you see up in the sky. I'm not going to try to explain it to you, but you stick this in your brain and see what he does for you. Thou makest darkness and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. A lot of activity over there when the sun goes down. Now, when I say over there, I know there's a whole forest right behind me over here, and some fields. There's a lot of animals out there doing things. And here it is almost midnight. It's been dark for a while. There's stuff going on. I'm in Texas. I hear the coyotes going, "Ow, and that's every time they get a rabbit, a whole bunch of animals out. They eat each other out there. They don't kill each other like man does. I mean, look what them Muslims do. They cut off the Christians' heads. Why did they cut their heads off? Why did they kill them? Because they follow God. The Muslims hate God. They hate Jesus Christ. They want to kill all of us who are Christians. Look at what's happening in America. They got this Judge Kavanaugh that Trump appointed to be put on the Supreme Court. You know what I heard a guy say on TV just today? They cannot afford to have an evangelical appointed to the Supreme Court. Why not? Because he will follow God's instruction and not the evil one. Who is pulling for the destruction of America and the Supreme Court? The Democrats. They're controlled by Satan. These are the facts, man. You know them by their fruits. The young lions roar after their prey and seek their meat from God. God has provided food for all the animals out there. In the beginning, it was not like this. Everybody was eating the stuff that was growing in the garden. Now the animals are killing each other to eat. Matter of fact, we kill the animals to eat also. The guidance for that kind of stuff is all written in this book. What you should eat and what you should not. The sun ariseth, they gather themselves together, and they lay them down in their dens. We're talking about the lions here. Man goeth forth unto his work and to his labor until the evening. Now, how many people go to work every day? Or how many people are on the dole who are paid not to go to work? The ones who play the system, who creep across the border of America and to claim asylum. And the Democrats give them food, place to live, medical, driver's license, all the stuff that us Americans, the real Christians, the real godly people, work for, who obey the laws of the land. The Democrats want all these people to come in so that they can be voted into power to destroy America. You know them by their fruits. And there are many. I'd say pretty close to 50% of the people in America today are no good. Well, there's enough there between, let's say, 30 and 60%, somewhere in there, that could be on the right path. but they're afraid to. They're just wimps. You know what they're called? Republicans. O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. Been doing this for almost a half hour. I'm only on verse 24. See how long it takes to stick this in? Discuss it. Now here I am talking about it with my face right there. I'm looking at me. Talking to you. But when I do it alone, who am I talking to? When I don't have this tablet on, who am I talking not only to, but with? Who listens to me? God does. And you know something? He lets me know that he's listening to me. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. That's what's in the oceans. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein. Now the Leviathan, I've heard a lot of explanations on that particular word. Let me spell it. Leviathan. Now let me look at this for a second. 26. Job. I'm going to go to the book of Job, chapter 41, and I'm going to see what might be said about this. Job. See how easy this is? You just sit, you relax, flip the pages of your Bible. Job chapter 41 and verse 1. Ooh. Great power of God in the Leviathan. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook? All right, we're talking about something big that was in the ocean. And he's talking to the people in the book of Job. And it was Job and three other guys. I used to know their names. I used to be able to spit them out. I forgot. And he's asking questions. God is asking questions. Or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down. In other words, can you do anything to counteract what I created? What I am in control of? Can you do that? That's what he's asking here. The answer is no. I'm not going to go any further with that. There's a lot more to be said about that particular Leviathan. You could talk for hours just on that. And especially if you've listened to many other things that were talked about concerning this, whatever you want to call it, other than Leviathan. Right? All right, I'm back in Psalm 104. Stop this thing right now. I'm coming right back.